All right, welcome back to On the Fringe of Society. I'm your host, AC Darkly, and like always, I'm joined by.
Brian Wilson.
and Ernest Nurman.
I
All right, today we're also joined by a special guest.
It's
We'll
a
get to him.
special episode.
This is a very special episode. This is the episode where we were going to have an on-air intervention for Aaron.
He's really going to turn the corner.
We all wrote some letters.
Actually, let's talk about this real quick.
Okay.
Aaron, I received a text message from your brother on Friday while I was at work.
No,
You're going to say this on air? This is
this is
illegal
kind of
shit.
yeah. Let me just
All right.
let me just ask you, did you do it?
No, I did not. I did not return the text.
All right.
Maybe in my younger days.
Yeah. He turns out he didn't turns out he had a very boring weekend.
Hey, my bad, dog.
No, hey, it wasn't your fault.
It just seemed like a setup,
Yeah. It was.
and I'm not going back to jail for anyone.
No, it turns out like everyone's busy like doing this college thing, and he's just like not on that.
Dill?
Yeah.
He's just not going to go?
No, he's just taking his time figuring out what he's doing.
Yeah, I guess that's probably smart. But it's not paranormal, so let's talk about something.
Okay. I just want to clear that up. All right. So we'll be joined by our guest in a little bit. Today's show we're going to be talking about skinwalkers. So that'll
Well,
be pretty cool.
gee, AC, what is a skinwalker?
I don't know, Ernest Nurman.
That was
that was not me.
That's called the Great Deflection.
Oh,
Just-
are you asking me?
No. All right. So basically, it's
I don't know.
similar to like a werewolf, but it's based it's based in Native American folklore where a human can seamlessly one moment go from being a regular human to a full blown animal, like a wolf or a coyote or
Is it like
other
Mortal Kombat?
animals. Yeah, pretty
Mortal
much.
Kombat?
Pretty much. Yeah, like you turn into a big dragon and bite somebody in half.
Okay.
Now, does this include like do they only turn to animals or like demons, monsters?
Well, that's like one of the themes where they might be demons, actually. Skinwalkers aren't generally like a good thing. They've just been part of like Native American folklore.
All right.
So they're not. It's not just like, hey, I have this bro.
Yeah, like, hey, Steve down the street can turn into like a dog. That's pretty cool, right? It's like, no, like Steve's an ass.
Steve also eats people.
Yeah, Steve eats people.
That would qualify as a skinwalker. I sent you guys a link to an image of a skinwalker, and this is disturbing.
I'm not even gonna look at it.
Yeah, it's bad. But all right.
So, I guess yeah, they do look fucking crazy.
Yeah.
Let's start out. I'm gonna bring some first-person skinwalker stories to you. These are, I think, the best way sometimes to get a feel for a paranormal phenomenon is to talk to people who've experienced it firsthand.
And it's
so
also
we-
killing two birds with one stone because that goes right into our encounter stories. So
Exactly. So this is our counter story section where we're going to be rating these stories 1 from 99 in terms of do you believe it or not? Is it believable?
Oh.
And then, so I'm just going to jump right in. This one concerns an old Navajo boarding school.
Mm-hmm.
hey, the Navajo know.
The what?
The Navajo know.
I mean, they got to learn math like anyone else, though, so they go to boarding school. And so this area where the school was is pretty much deserted, but they're going to renovate it soon. So this guy wanted to share his story. He said around fall 2002, his aunt lived. She lived in the teacher's housing next to the school with her granddaughter. Um, and she said that in one morning her 4-year-old niece came into her room, followed by a little girl who was about her height, and they kind of just like dawdled around, went to the living room. And so the aunt doesn't think much of this because she's like, oh yeah, it's because she's a friend, so I'm not gonna like fuck with it, and I'm gonna be lazy and also lay in bed for another hour. And so,
Yeah, I could get behind that.
so like, so it's like girls are playing in the living room, sweet. I'm just chilling in bed. She gets out of bed. She goes and asks her niece, "Oh, where's her granddaughter? Um, where the other kid is?" And she said that there's nobody here at all. There's never anybody here, just me. And that she notices that the front door is locked and closed, deadbolted and everything. So the aunt's confused, but the girl doesn't seem like she's lying. And so this apparently happens all over the area. Blah, 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 blah. At this boarding school, there's all this crazy shit happening. And they keep seeing this little girl.
Yeah, I heard it's Harry Potter.
Oh.
One second. I don't think this is about skinwalkers, this story. It's just about little girls.
Oh, all right.
No, that's not. I mean, so anyway, this little girl keeps popping up everywhere. And she's in, like, pretty much classic Navajo dress, a lot of jewelry. And she says she's going to a ceremony, and they're gonna teach her something, but she doesn't want to learn. And she's saying this to one of the dorm aides in the boarding school. And basically, fuck it. Fuck.
You can just start improving, and then a skinwalker ran in.
Well, I mean, so this is basically saying that the Navajo are using little children and turning them into skinwalkers in ceremonies. I don't like
All right.
that.
You just don't want to go. You just want to cut that story out.
It's just boring and dumb. I don't like it at all.
All right, let's give it a 0 then. It's getting a 0.
I don't know what the Navajo do because I'm not a Navajo. But
that's a crazy thing too about if it's like on a reserve or something like that, where they have their own laws, their own judicial system and everything like that, and they're very, very secretive people. So
they're
no
allowed.
No one really knows what's going on in there.
Yeah, pretty sure that's legal over there.
What do you mean over there?
Okay, let me give you a real one.
All right.
Because this one has a little bit more action in it. That one's just whack. It's just little girls walking around, basically.
Brian Wilson, you better not be fucking with me.
I'm not going to fuck with you. So basically, there's this family driving. It's this 20-year-old girl named Frances. And they're on their way to... They're in, like, Arizona. They're in, like, Flagstaff, but, like, in the sticks. So she's in the car with her younger brother, mom, and dad. They're going on vacation to visit their friends. They're heading to North Carolina to Fort Bragg.
That's a pretty long ride.
Yeah, it's a road trip. It's a vacation.
Mm-hmm.
They're going through the Indian reservation. They're driving, and then all of a sudden they're driving around.
All right. Road tripping.
And then they see like a pair of headlights behind them, which is weird because it's totally desolate. But like they're like, oh, it's nice to have company. So if anything bad happens, we'll have these other people with us if our car breaks down or whatever. And it's just following them. And then all of a sudden they go over a hill, Francis's family, and they're just kind of like, oh, keeping an eye on this other car, and they see that it doesn't come over the hill. And so they get kind of worried. And they're like, why would you stop at the bottom of the hill in the middle of the night? That's crazy.
Yeah.
So the headlights never come. And so they keep driving like, oh, our friends are gone. They go around a corner and they get, like, there's something in the road. They're going around a bend. And the car kind of comes to a stop, and then her dad starts driving fast. And so they look out the back window, and they see they swerve into a ditch, and they have to stop. And something leaps out of the ditch. And Francis says it was black and hairy, eye level with the passengers in the cab. If this was a man, it was like no man should ever seen. But it was wearing a man's clothes. White blue check shirt, long pants, jeans. Its arms were raised over its head. It's almost touching the top of this truck, like this big truck. Looking in the pickup, it didn't look like an ape. It had yellow eyes. It looked like just a really hairy man almost.
Mm-hmm.
And they finally calm down and they drive all the way. They drive away. They basically like hit this thing. It like ended up like on top of their car and they just booked.
They're like, I'm out of here.
Yeah.
Just kept going. I don't know.
Yeah, and so when they stop for gas, they find no blood, no hair, or anything. They're just freaked out. And they end up going home. They're like, that was fucking weird. And then a few nights later, like around 11, Frances and her brother wake up because they hear drumming. They look out the bedroom window and they see 3 or 4 men coming over their fence, but they can't really get over the fence. Like, they can't get their legs over, which is yeah. And so the men just chant on the other side of the fence and drum, and Frances gets fucking freaked out, but they don't do anything. And so Frances asks one of her Navajo friends later, she's like, what the fuck is all that shit about? I don't know why she goes straight to the Indian, just because weird shit happens. I think it's racist.
Yeah, that is a little bit.
She just knew.
Very presumptuous, but of course the Navajo friend says that a skinwalker tried to attack their family. And so she brings her friend to check out the fence where these people tried to get in. She said that was probably 3 or 4 other skinwalkers who really wanted her family and hadn't got it the first time, and then they couldn't get it the second time because there was something protecting their family, some sort of blessing. So somebody had been protecting them from the skinwalkers. They didn't even know it.
Oh.
But so Frances said, like, after that, they didn't really fuck with the skinwalkers anymore, and she got more Navajos and bless her shit.
I like that. After that, like, that was it. That was the last time.
Yeah, apparently they gave up. She got some ambulance. She got some more Navajo blessings, and she said they let him go. But she said she always could have lived in fear that the skinwalker is going to come back.
That is a pretty scary experience.
I think more than the actual like skinwalker attacking the car, it's like the people standing at your fence like chanting, even though they're so unathletic. They apparently
were they drumming like really bad too? It's like 4 a.m. You're like, please just stop.
Obviously, they're used to being in their animal form. They couldn't take it.
Well, apparently there was some sort of blessing that the Navajos put on her family with her.
Oh, okay.
So if you have the blessings and like they can't get in, like could you go outside in your yard with like your hose and just start like squirting them over the fence, like get out of here?
Bad
skinwalkers. Yeah, I guess I wouldn't, but you could.
Oh.
So yeah, what do you think of Frances's tale?
It's pretty cool, pretty unique. The number that's coming to my head's 32.
32?
Yeah, I don't know, like a little bit low, just because, like you said, like I feel like she had like a little bit of like prefabricated of the story that like she instantly knew to go to like the Navajo and just be like, hey.
So she could have heard about it before.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I think in this case, I think I'm gonna feel like I think I'm gonna go like 45, 46.
Okay.
I want
to believe.
Yeah.
I'm
gonna give.
All right, David Duchovny.
All right, so that's those are my encounter stories.
All right,
I could do more, but I think that these skinwalker stories, it's really hard to. When we get more and we're actually talking about skinwalkers, it doesn't really match up necessarily with what I thought a skinwalker was like or what it looked like.
Yeah, I did a little investigation.
Well, it's like more of like they say like a spiritual experience where it's not the same every time, but it just has the different elements of the person changing into these like creatures.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I thought skinwalkers change into creatures, not that they just look like Planet of the Apes extras.
True. Yeah, I thought they were somewhat animal-like.
Well, it could have been in mid-transformation. I know sometimes people catch it like that, where I don't know.
Mom, like yeah.
Mid-transformation. What I've read, they can transform into any animal, although there are some common ones. So what would be like if they would transform into an ape? You know, that's
Mhm.
pretty much.
Can they transform?
Can they transform?
Uh-oh.
Yep, think you went out a little bit. But I think we'll continue to talk about that after we get
Yeah,
to some other
I
stuff.
got another encounter story that goes along with that. Also out in Arizona, out in Tucson, Arizona.
Okay.
A group of 3 mountain bikers reportedly saw a reptilian humanoid last week in the middle of a trail located in the, is it Sonoran Desert? I don't know. That some desert in Arizona.
Uh-huh.
Anyway, the cyclists were riding the 24 hours in Old Pueblo race course, a 17-mile trail where they spotted the creatures.
Okay.
A quote from one of the men, he said it was a tough one. Self-described business person from Tuscan. Mr. Johnson, it is a 24-hour track, so you better come prepared with more than enough food and water. There are times you just want to go back and wish you had never gone there in the first place. But when you see what nature has to offer you here, well, those regrets dissipate rather quickly. So basically, it's just setting up, just saying like these guys aren't just some like random like crackpots. Like this guy's a business person. They've been out here. They've run this course before. But basically, the saying like they've seen a lot of crazy stuff. So this experience that basically made the group say this is the last time they're ever going here. They said we'd been riding for about, I don't know, maybe 9 hours, taking breaks every now and then. Then Michael says he needs to stop for a minute. We are waiting for him to finish when all of a sudden we see a long figure walking across the trail. He is maybe about 6 feet tall, very, very skinny, and had an awkward gait like a monkey, or a man with a disease. Almost robotic, kind of. According to the eyewitness, 2 of the men were watching the strange animal, while the third one, Michael, was unaware of what was happening. Then all I remember about Michael is him saying, "What the hell is that?" or something of that nature. But he sounded far away. He probably used a different word instead of hell. Like, you couldn't just report that. He probably said, "What the fuck?"
Yeah.
What the fuck? What the muff? What the frack?
What the muff?
What the frack?
Thing is, we had somehow walked a little towards the thing. Don't ask me why. Maybe to look at it better, not knowing what it was. Then Johnson says the creature heard Michael speak, and apparently taking notice of the intruders, it made an eerie 280-degree turn. He stopped, and it made eye contact with me, and I could see him clearly. The eyes were kind of like a snake's, but black and with a yellow stripe in the middle of the eye. It had green and red scales on the face and head. The red color was kind of like the same as the desert sand there, and it looked like it had sandy texture too. It didn't have a nose, only 2 holes on it. I couldn't see any ears or hair, a red mouth that looked like it had blood around it, but it didn't look like it was bleeding. It looked like a pattern. It reminded me of a chameleon, but it looked like a person too. Allegedly, the creature raised its long arms with strange-looking claws that looked like a branch full of thorns and waved it at them, emitting a loud, chattering sound with its teeth. Then it rapidly ran away in a fashion that reminded the witnesses of a lizard trying to hide. Basically, they go on to say that they were just really startled. It wasn't like anything they had seen, even on TV or ever heard stories of. But basically, they said now that they know these things are out there, they're not saying it's an alien or a chupacabra or any of those other cryptids. They just know that there's something out there. And basically, it goes along with there's also out in the desert. I know you guys are familiar with the subterranean alien bases that are pretty popular in the UFO community.
Oh,
Basically, it was the writer's take on that, is saying of the article, basically saying that it could fall in lines with that. Also, legends of such creatures have been in Native American folklore, so it kind of goes along with the skinwalker. But basically, what I'm getting out of this is that there's a lot of weird shit in Native American folk legends. Like, there's a wide range of craziness.
Yeah, they cover their basics. Their bases. You know, it could be this, could be that.
Could
But
be
they have an explanation.
To be fair, though, at least they have an explanation for it. They take their culture and society takes the paranormal. It's almost not saying it's normal to them, but they at least offer an explanation for it.
Yeah, they actually analyze it a bit.
It's more part of their culture. It's not fringe to them.
Yeah.
This show goes out to the Navajo. So I like this one just because that Skinwalker sounds like dope looking.
Yeah, good description. I like the hands, fingers like branches.
Pat
It's
around the mouth, yeah.
Yeah, they had some pretty good detail too with like the skins, the patterns on the faces.
Hmm.
And it comes from a pretty reliable source. Like these people really know the area. They've visited it. They've ridden the course before, and they seem like pretty reputable sources. So
Right?
I'd have to go with I'll go with like a 73.
73.
Ooh,
That's
wow.
pretty good. I'm going to give it a 55.
55. I love the
That's still
idea of
respectable.
subterranean aliens. I just think that's pretty cool, you know? Especially out in the Midwest. A lot of underground tunnels in there.
Yeah, it's an underground movement. No big
Yeah.
deal.
It's like saying, like, oh, well, the aliens are probably in the ocean. I'm like, well, probably. Yeah? So I think I'm going to give this I think I'm going to give this one a, yeah, well, probably. I'm going to give it a 64.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
All right, so just to wrap this up, basically that was the news, the encounter news for this week. And now we'll go on to Aaron's Science Minute.
Okay. Well, my science minute, I'm just going to talk about some of the things I've witnessed at a NASA trip I recently went to. I can't talk about some things, but I'd like to just mention some of the things I saw, which I thought were pretty interesting.
Yeah, I appreciate that you texted the information to us, basically intertwining us in your great government conspiracy.
Yeah,
So now we're on the radar. Thank you. I appreciate it.
you're welcome. I was on base too. At one point, they actually, at 2 points, they actually took our phones. That's pretty cool. So who knows what they did with them when we went to a couple of the buildings. But one thing was really interesting is they're really hard at work. This NASA base, I'm not going to say which one, working on colonizing Mars. So some of the technologies they're developing.
Really?
Yeah, that's the main goal that all of this NASA base is actually centered on is colonizing Mars or getting people, a small colony, on by the end of 2030s.
Wow. That's pretty intense
Yeah.
considering we've never even, as far as I know, landed a person up there.
And we have a lot of
Yeah.
struggles landing rovers there. And
Yeah.
by landing, we pretty
So-
much just crash them on the surface and hope they still work.
Pretty well. There's a little science behind landing it, but it's still like still a lot of crapshoot. That the last one we landed was everything landed was about 1 ton, which is pretty crazy actually. 2,000 pounds. The rover is about the size of like a small car, mid-sized to small car, and to successfully land a person and all the equipment they would need to live for a while at least until we can send some resupply missions is about 40 tons. So we're 1/40th of the way there. So within the next 20 years, we got to make up that other, that other capability to land heavy objects.
Mhm.
But they're working on, of course, making their payloads lighter. So instead of covering the whole entire structure in that tile, that heating tile that absorbs a ridiculous amount of heat, now they're starting to actually use like gelled fabrics. So instead of plates that were almost a foot in depth, so a huge amount of tiles, they're now going to something that's less than an inch thick and is 1/100th of the weight.
I was going to say a big fraction of the weight.
Yeah,
That's a real key part.
Yep. And they're doing that. They're working on all kinds of different structures for slowing down on entry on the Mars surface. So the surface of Mars has very little atmosphere. And so objects don't slow down as fast because there's not as much resistance. So they're coming up with these huge, pretty much inflatable, think of like a top, where the very bottom is just like one singular point, and then it just kind of circles out.
Mhm.
So they're coming up with these large inflatable objects. So during entry they'd inflate it, usually with like some solid. They were talking about solid oxygen, solid CO2 that would just immediately turn into a gas and expand rapidly. inflate these huge structures and create a lot more drag for these things. And I actually got to touch one of those. That was cool. And,
Did they tell you don't touch? They're like, don't touch that.
yeah, I touched a lot of stuff. That's like the one thing I go for.
Touch.
That's like when I used to go to like the history museum when I was younger. My grandpa would touch all the dinosaur bones, and the security guards are like freaking out at him. He'd be like, they're just dead anyway. You're not gonna hurt them.
He's not wrong.
But they have a lot of prototypes for like inflatable biodomes. So these like huge 2-story inflatable, they almost look like a capsule, like a pill capsule, only it's standing straight up. And it's about 2 stories, a little bit of storage in there, completely inflatable, holds the atmosphere in, stuff like that. They had a couple machines that were meant to rip the oxygen from the soil, so that's how they'd get.
That sounds brutal.
Yeah, a gas oxygen so they can breathe. A lot of their atmosphere is nitrogen, so that's good. So we can grow stuff. Their soil, if we can ever introduce enough CO2 into the air, it'd be ripe for vegetation. If we can find some organisms that are really resistant to cosmic radiation. But so the biggest thing that they haven't figured out yet, and it's pretty key, is my research is all based on cosmic rays. So outside of a strong gravitational field, cosmic rays will just rip through you, and just pretty much instant cancer, organ shutdown. I mean, just thinking of your body cooking. That's pretty much what a daily, good minute blast of a.
That sounds like a bad move on like a RPG game. Insta cancer.
Cook bun.
It's like pretty much being in a microwave. So that's the only thing they haven't figured out how to shield, but they did have some crazy suits to protect from solar flares, some crazy things like that. A lot of people don't know this, but astronauts, especially on the ISS, and even some astronauts that just orbit the Earth a couple times, they have a really hard time sleeping because gamma rays penetrate their eyes. Strong gamma rays, so they turn it off.
Isn't there a lot of times they experience like temporary blindness and things like that when they return to Earth?
Yeah, that's more of I'm pretty sure that's more of a pressure thing. But when a nice gamma ray, a really nice gamma ray goes through your eye, it'll produce photons, and just imagine with your eyes completely closed, it being completely dark out, and just seeing like a spark in your eyelids. So that's actually something that's pretty common on the ISS, and further out into space, it's only going to be more common.
That doesn't sound like a fun time.
No, it sounds pretty supernatural. So they had some crazy wonky magnetic field generators that would send out a really strong magnetic field, but in a short radius, to cover the house. They call them micro cranes. So these cranes that literally fold out that can fit into a briefcase. You can lift several ton objects made out of some extremely light alloys. I was actually really, really excited to see how much they were focusing on this. They had a couple car prototypes similar to the one they had on the moon, stuff like that. I got to see a lot of that stuff, and then I went into their hangar, one of their aviation hangars, where they had a lot of their prototyped planes. Some of them were crazy. Just imagine planes with like no wings whatsoever. Yeah, well, like no.
So like a missile?
Wings. Yeah, almost like a missile, but it has a propeller on it. I didn't understand for the longest time how it flew. But the fuselage is actually supposed to generate enough lift to keep the thing afloat.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah, yep. That, and then another goal of NASA is to make have a design for commercial aircraft that the everyday person could own and actually travel to and from. So a 3 to 4 person small prop plane that could launch from anywhere, launch from standstill, raise up and just travel. So it's something to revolutionize transportation on Earth.
It's commercial aeronautics.
Yeah. Yep. So since NASA's competing with a lot of U.S. corporations like Boeing or SpaceX and stuff like that on a lot of these inventions, NASA's starting to come up with a lot of crazy ideas to compete. So they had a prototype of a plane that could lift up vertically and then just fly away. And they actually showed us, demoed that. And that was really interesting. They said they're going to have a working model by the end of the year.
Maybe that actually is pretty crazy.
Yeah. Yep. And then of course, it's not. I mean, the only real reason we allow the everyday person to rent a plane and fly around is because we don't have thousands and thousands of people in the air at one time.
Yeah.
You know? So there's a lot of other things that need to, we need to change about our aviation future.
So imagine in like the next 50 years, like where nowadays you're 16 years old and you go take your driver's test, you'll be 16 years old taking your pilot's test.
Well, they're talking about instead of actually having a pilot's license, just to have one huge global network of these planes, just like the Google car operates, where they would kind of just fly on their own.
Hey guys, I'm actually gonna have to cut tonight short again. There's an emergency over here in Wilson Land that I have to deal with.
Okay.
But have fun with fluoride. I'll catch you soon.
All right. Hopefully everything's all right. I'll talk to you later.
All right, I'll catch you guys later.
All right.
See you. So that's pretty much it. I thought a lot of that was interesting. It may not be on the fringe, but it definitely is up and coming technology. That seems pretty sci-fi. Putting a man on Mars in the next 20 years, 15 years.
The future's here.
Yeah. Yep. Some of the different materials they're coming up with are really impressive.
All right.
Nanostructures to aid in building and really crazy stuff.
All right. Well, that's been Aaron's Science Minute.
Thank you.
All right. On to the main topic of today. We've already discussed it a little bit, but the whole skinwalkers and the mythos and the Native American folklore. We'll now be joined by our guest. If you want to just introduce him, Aaron, and then bring him on and have him just tell us a little bit about himself, and then we'll get into this.
Yeah, this happens to be my roommate. So, Mr. Actually, I'll let him do the introduction. Do you? He's gonna have to unmute him. Okay.
Oh. Yo.
So, tell us your name.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I'm just checking, man. We have some microphone issues.
Here on the Fringe, we like to believe in the self-introduction. Besides Aaron's Science Hour, for some reason I can't do that.
Because you're barely literate, Aaron.
I try.
Yeah.
So, give us an intro.
I'm Matt, Aaron's roommate. I don't know, man.
Hey,
I'm a nursing major.
All right. So what you're trying to say is this topic kind of hits you where you live. You're concerned about people's health, right?
Okay. I was wondering where you're going with the connection there, but you pulled that one out of your ass.
Thank you.
That's right. Nah, I don't know, man. The government conspiracy controlling us.
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well, it very well could be. It very well could be. I'd like to hear your thoughts on this. So, what exactly do you think?
This fluoride in the water.
Yeah. Well, at first, can you start us off by saying why we do it? Who does it?
Why we do it?
How long? Give us a little background info.
All right. Well, fluoride it's put in majority of our water, like 2/3 of Americans have it. Everybody else has to take like pills. I don't know if you had to because you live in the middle of nowhere when you're growing up.
Yeah, I had well water. I took fluoride pills.
There you go.
Yep.
Actually, the fluoride that they add to the water comes from byproducts from phosphate fertilizer
Wow.
manufacturers.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. It's added to the water. It says about 1 part per million or slightly below. Uh, Groundwater contain much higher levels. They do it like theoretically it's supposed to like bind to your tooth enamel and make it so you don't have like tooth decay and cavities and stuff. But the problem is too much of it can like make the enamel crack and like discolor your teeth. So it's
Yeah, dental fluorosis.
yeah.
Fluorosis. All right.
Well, if you have cracks, this bacteria is just gonna grow in there and you're gonna get cavities.
Okay.
So
So,
I don't
so
know.
from my understanding, if they would crack, can I just fill that with more fluoride?
What? No.
So if my, I mean, okay.
That we would just be adding to the problem, dude.
I mean,
Yeah. Eventually, I mean, along the lines of that, if it could get down to the bone, so if
Yeah.
there's the cracks in your teeth, then there'll be skeletal fluorosis, which will, I mean, weaken your bones, and that is not good at all.
huh.
Let's just say that's not a good thing.
Yeah.
Mhm.
What's crazy is I read something in 2010, 41% of kids aged 12 to 15 had some form of dental fluorosis.
I did not. I do not fit in that statistic.
Well, I don't think you were 12 to 15 in 2010.
I was not.
Okay.
That's just trying to say.
No, but it's crazy. It's not regulated very well.
Uh-huh.
It's like you can't really control the dose of who gets what, and like that's huge in meds.
Yeah.
Like even in the hospital, a fish oil pill is a medication, and
Uh-huh.
Or just some instances where the regulation of it has not been so great. There's a few outbreaks between 91 and 98 where the dosage of fluoride in the water actually caused acute fluoride poisoning in some people, and the symptoms were like nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, and like that was you could just basically be at your house, drink some tap water. Next thing you know,
Dead.
you're getting not dead, but like really sick.
Okay. I found a couple little numbers, one or two numbers here. The FDA approves as the maximum dose of fluoride in the water to be 1.5 milligram per liter, and then the instance that you just said, AC, was 22 milligrams per liter. So that is an extremely high number, well over almost 200, about 150 times more of the recommended dose. And that's not the only one. It actually goes on between 91 to 98, and then there's actually a huge incident in 2010 in North Carolina. Although it only lasted 90 minutes, 60 gallons were introduced into the water supply of a very small town in North Carolina. So there definitely have been some crazy instances. But something that always fascinated me about this is kind of the conspiracy behind it. This kind of came up in the 60s and
not earlier than that.
50s.
I think
It was like 1940s.
Yeah.
Yeah. Basically, the whole argument behind it is your own. Like, there's been Supreme Court cases and things like that in other countries. Basically, it's about the integrity of your own body. Like, you should have the choice
Yeah, it's called
to intake this.
informed consent.
That makes sense. But what about this as a communist plot to control the minds of America?
That's just part of it.
I think that's the most important thing here.
That's just part of it.
Yeah.
You know.
Mm-hmm. So do we say the commies won in this aspect?
Man.
It
I
definitely
would
sounds like they
say,
did.
yeah, I would
Yeah.
say
All right. Huh.
citizens aren't. Well, I mean, it says water is fluoridated in 29 of the 30 largest cities.
Mm-hmm.
The exception is Portland, Oregon. So over in Portland, the commies didn't win because
Because they don't have the fluoridization of the water.
yeah, because they had voters that defeated the plan to add it. So
All right. Well, I have an interesting statistic. Between 2009 and 2010, a study came out that found that people or children 10 and under in Seattle had 40% more cavities than, say, in Seattle. People in Seattle. Did I say that
okay,
right? Yeah.
I think you said Seattle like 3 times.
Okay. Portland, that does not have the fluoridization of the water, had 40% more cavities in children 10 and under than Seattle, which is just right next door, yet has fluoridization of the water. So
I don't know.
fluoride sounds like a good thing. I understand the whole thing about, like, well, I'm not controlling what's in my body.
Yeah, definitely the real thing I have, like, I'm not so much into the conspiracies and things like that, but there's definitely an issue here with the controlled amount of the dosage because the studies have showed that it's not under the right amount, the dosage. It could be beneficial, but the problem here is with the regulation of it. There is no real active like checks and balances for how much. Like there's been issues like the one in North Carolina where they dumped a whole day's worth into the water supply in seconds, and that's only the reported cases.
Yeah.
So if just looking at this, like this should be something that you choose. Like if you wanted water with fluoride in it, or if like as the supplement to fluoride pills, that's something that you should have the choice to, not the government saying, well, this is our water supply, we're putting the fluoride in it. That should be something that you have the choice to do.
That's understandable, but it really doesn't personally affect me that much because as a child I did receive fluoride treatments. Did both of you guys?
It was
From
just water.
a dentist.
At the dentist?
Yes.
Yeah, we talked about that. Mine just sounds different than yours.
I'm pretty sure they're the same.
Yeah, I don't know.
Basically, they have like a little foam plate, They fill it with fluoride, and probably
Yeah, then you
some
like
other
bite, down or
bite down on it for a couple of minutes,
Yeah.
And then you do that for like 4 years.
But along with that, that's controlled. Like that dog knows, like the dentist knows the exact amount. Like whereas some asshole in like
some
the water purification area,
Hmm. I think the conspiracy kind of dies out because in the main conspiracy, the reason like the communists were doing this to America is because it was supposed to deplete the brain power and zap the strength of a whole generation of American children. But when you think about it, like the time frame that this occurred in, those were baby boomers, right?
I don't know.
40s to 60s, 40s to early 60s. Yeah, those are baby boomers. So
Okay.
that's a generation that, I mean, America wouldn't be what it is now without.
Yeah.
So pretty much every elderly person over the age of like 55 is a baby boomer. So I think if this was a communist plot and it was actually effective, the United States would be far from, or at least not as powerful as we are today.
I don't know. I mean, we are pretty brainwashed at this point.
I'd say.
Yeah.
More whistleblowers, dude.
More buzzwords. Iraq. So, I don't know. I still honestly think that fluorization of the water is no big deal.
I don't know.
I mean, they also put chlorine in the water. You do. I mean,
Yeah,
chlorine.
there's a purpose, though. You know.
There's a purpose to fluoride.
Well, yeah, but you also have like fluoride in your toothpaste, and you have fluoride at the dentist.
You're not
And,
helping to. There's fluoride everywhere.
yeah, but so why add more to the water when we know that it's negative?
Yeah. I don't see many negatives though.
What?
Yeah.
Your teeth falling apart because there's too much? Isn't what?
You're right. I really don't have any tooth in my face.
I mean, I don't know.
Not you personally, Aaron, but there's instances this
For example, North
affects
Carolina.
certain people, but it should be your own choice. It's your body. You should have the choice of what goes into it and what does not.
Yeah. I mean, that kind of fits into a lot of other issues that are
Well, call them
kind of
out.
go both ways in America. I mean, think about the illegalization of a lot of different materials that we're not allowed to have. Shouldn't that also be our choice? So I mean, there are restrictions in our country.
if you want to go buy a big bundle of asbestos and just wrap yourself in that, I guess that's your call.
Hey, if that's what you're saying, I mean, that kind of still fits into both of our arguments.
I don't know.
Yeah. So I mean,
it's a little different.
In our country, we see that some things are restricted, some things we are not given a choice about. Right?
I'd say.
Yeah.
But it's different where the fact that like you need water to survive, that's a key element of survival, and they've taken pretty much your choice away. Like, where are you going to find water without fluoride in it?
Yeah.
Unless you want to pay lots of money for filters.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like fancy filters.
Yeah. I understand the argument, but it's just because I've had no adverse effects.
Yet, youngster.
Youngster. You younger than me, motherfucker.
Doesn't matter. I'm aware
Yeah.
of problems. Trying to.
I understand you hippie nursing majors.
It's not a hippie, man.
That's right.
All right. So Matt, what's your thoughts on the skinwalkers of the Navajo?
That's crazy stuff. I don't even know. That's like right over my head.
So you have not had a skinwalker sighting or personal experience?
No.
No.
I can't say. I mean, there's a lot of interesting creatures here in Erie, but
Mostly
I don't
skunks.
know. Yeah,
a lot of skunks.
There's a lot of skunks in this.
We don't know. They could be Navajo witch doctors. They really could.
I mean, yeah, that's crazy.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude, that would be like a big dick move if your skinwalker ability was to turn into a skunk.
Really bitch move.
And just like spray people.
Yeah. So, you guys want to just switch over to skinwalkers again? Finish it off. Matt, do you feel like staying a little bit longer and just talking about skinwalkers a little bit?
I don't really know much about them.
Okay.
I mean, I say
Have you ever had any like paranormal experiences or anything like that? Whoa! Almost fell down.
Anything?
No, I don't think.
You ever been to a haunted house?
I have.
Yeah.
Well, I mean,
Was it scary?
not like. Oh, well, nah, not scary.
Okay. Well. All right.
Have you ever been to? Are we talking like actual haunted house, or are we talking like somewhere you pay to go?
I'm fishing for anything. You ever?
Okay. I mean, I was in Savannah. That's like a big.
Where's that?
Georgia. What? You've never heard of Savannah, Aaron?
I'm really bad with my geography.
It's like huge for paranormal stuff.
I thought of like the Savannah.
I mean, maybe there too, but
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, all right. Well, I think John, AC and I can just talk about this, and then you can just throw in your opinion whenever you feel like it, interject.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right then. So just doing a little deeper investigating in the Skinwalker legend, and it turns out that in the Navajo mythology, a Skinwalker is someone who reaches the highest level of priesthood in the tribe, but chose to instead use their ability for like the well-being of the tribe. Instead, use it for evil and to take the form of animals to inflict pain and suffering on other people. So, in the Navajo mythology, what's most common are these these witches that they refer to them, transforming into like coyotes, owls, foxes, crows, and then killing or torturing people, pretty much.
So basically, it's like high-ranking members of the Native American society, and basically, they just use their powers for evil.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah. So I'd like to know what the good ones use their abilities for. You know?
It's probably a waste. You probably don't get to turn into like cool animals or anything.
Yeah. So another major aspect of it is the Navajos actually refused to talk about it amongst themselves, and because their kind of thought is that anyone could be a skinwalker, and these priests, even in the culture, don't even announce they're priests. They just kind of practice it by themselves. It's very isolated, and so they're kind of always scared, what might be out there. And a major part of where their power actually comes from is the witch covering himself in the hide of the animal, and that will somehow, with some added supernatural ability, allow them to turn into that animal.
So basically, you have to get the hide of whatever animal you want to turn into.
Yeah, little animals, that'd be hard. That's a lot of crows. It's a lot of owls. A lot of owls. Yeah. But it says that they could turn into any animal. So in the situations we were talking about before, where
like say they wanted to
it
turn
could
into like a
be
spider or
like
something,
an
like
ape.
how would they get the skin of a spider?
Well, I would assume stuff like that they wouldn't really be able to. But it also says that some of them also have the ability to transform only halfway, sort of like an incomplete power.
Well, that could go along with the story we had that Brian Wilson brought up earlier, where he was basically just saying that it would look like just a very extremely hairy man.
Yeah. Yep.
So that's like the partial transfers and stuff like that.
Yep. And then the same with the lizard, the lizard-esque, chameleon-esque creature. So if they would coat themselves in tons of lizards.
Basically, the moral of the story is don't go in the desert near the Navajo.
Don't talk to them Navajo.
Don't ever look at the Navajo.
Don't know about them. Don't think about them.
You don't even dare think about them.
Forget this whole thing. Oh, and another interesting part. If you're ever attacked by a skinwalker, if you can recognize, which sounds crazy to me, the person that they actually, the person who actually is the skinwalker, if you say their complete name, their powers will actually escape them and they will die.
That's crazy.
Yeah, so kind of like their sins are known. So it sounds like a big part of this mythos is hiding what they are.
Basically hiding their true identity. And
yeah, yep. So next time I see a skinwalker, I'm just gonna say every Navajo name I know.
Which is probably
do you know?
Mr. Navi.
Oh my
I
God!
don't know.
Easy.
Yeah,
Don't
it's
have to
really
raise
easy.
purple, dude.
I'm pretty sure they have their own version of like John Smith.
Do they?
I'm pretty sure.
I don't know.
Walking dances with
I
wolves.
can't. How many Navajo people have you actually met in your life? Because I don't think I can
don't know if
Say
you
I
know
met
this,
one.
but
You know.
I have a little bit of Cherokee in me. No, Allegheny. Allegheny.
Oh, I guess what everybody
I'm dead
says.
serious. I don't want to say I am a skinwalker, but don't ask me.
I'm living with a skinwalker.
I said not to ask.
So what's your name? So when I know, like,
Oh, let me just tell you.
yeah.
Yeah.
On the birth certificate, it's actually Arend, so that's how you get them. Arrand, Arend.
Damn. You got me. So I think
did you
these
just
things
lose
are
your
really
power?
interesting. Yeah. It's all gone. I'll never turn into whatever I was before. So these skinwalkers are really interesting. They could explain Bigfoot sightings, a lot of cryptid or a
Yeah, I
lot
was
of
gonna say
cryptids.
I know like a lot of, especially around like the Arizona, like where there's like a lot of Navajo
That still live. Yeah.
communities and stuff like that's like one of the common explanations they use for like Sasquatch because Sasquatch is originally a Native American term where
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah. So this is an interesting cryptid that could explain a lot of other cryptids. So like,
and I like things that explain things.
yep. So this kind of works out pretty
So,
well.
yeah.
Yeah. So do we want to give this a rating of on the believable scale?
I guess an
Just
overall
for the fact
rating.
that they exist.
Just because
That was what?
it'd be pretty hard to prove or disprove. Like
True.
Yeah.
it's pretty much like a fairy tale, but
Like,
Yeah.
is there gonna be a show on the Discovery Channel, like Finding Bigfoot?
There
Except
actually is a documentary on what did we do last week? Goat Man.
I don't know what you did last week. I was
Cowman.
excited, but I had a test.
well, there was
There
like the
actually
cow.
is a
Yeah.
documentary on Cowman.
Has there been any recent cowman sightings?
Well, we can definitely find out.
That's another thing that could be a skinwalker.
Yeah, that's actually what they think it is. It wasn't in the Midwest. This is all coming together.
we're cracking the case.
Cracking the case. So, well, I'm glad we figured this out, guys.
we did it. We're famous now.
Yeah. So, that's pretty much all I had for today. Do you guys have anything else to add?
No, I think that's
Thoughts, beliefs? Cool.
What's on the schedule for next week?
it. What are we gonna do next week?
I
I don't know. I found
Man.
one more like interesting tidbit. I feel like you guys would appreciate this from a conspiracy standpoint. Let me
Okay.
pull this
What
up
is
here
it?
real quick.
A damn castle in the middle of nowhere, the government built,
All right,
nuke-proof.
all right. This one
I don't know
is.
anything about that.
This one involves 9/11. Just before
Oh.
9/11, the World Trade Center's lease was privatized and sold to Larry Silverstein.
There we go.
Silverstein took out an insurance plan that fortuitous. I can't even say it.
Fortuitously,
I know. I don't know why I couldn't
It's okay.
say it right. Fortuitously covered terrorism. After 9/11, Silverstein took the insurance company to court, claiming that he should be paid double because there was 2 attacks. Silverstein won and was awarded $4.5 billion.
that's it.
That's a little bit of money.
Well,
Oh,
these are World Trade Centers, dude.
4.5 billion?
might I just throw in this kind of equates to the whole Jewish people run the world thing,
No, dude.
The New World Order.
the New World Order.
Fucking Illuminati.
We're getting into a lot of stuff here.
It exists.
So pretty much this Silverstein guy knew. It was written in the bagels.
Maybe he was like in contact with the people that did it.
The terrorists.
Yeah.
Maybe
Maybe.
he
I don't know.
Maybe it wasn't even terrorists.
Yeah, maybe he knew.
Yeah, I just
I
thought
don't
that that little tidbit because I saw this in actual. Like you could look it up. Like he purchased it when the sale of the building was privatized. He purchased it, and then he actually won this court case.
And he filed the insurance claim came into effect within a year. So like in the year 2000 around.
Yeah, it was only months before.
Wow,
So
that definitely fits in the whole New World Order. I like to think. Well, I don't like to think, but I have this crazy idea of these like old men, be them Jewish, be them any other nationality that people think have power, and they just sit on top of this ivory, nuclear-proof castle, we'll say, and just kind of control everything. You know, they just put their hands in everything.
I can see it.
Yeah. They come up with, like, you know, someone needs, one of my big things is someone needs to come up with new words, all right? So I'm thinking these guys come up with new words. I kind of have
new
this idea,
words.
new
Yeah.
words. These guys are just like mystic in my eyes. They just do a little bit of everything.
New. What are they making?
Everything. I'm pretty sure they're going to come out with like a new page of the Bible, you know?
Really?
Just like crazy things. I just have this crazy idea.
You back on drugs again, boy?
Yeah, I think you might be. What was in that cigar you smoked earlier, dude?
Yeah, exactly.
All right. Well, I think that's it for tonight.
Yeah, just kind of what little crazy without
The voice
Yeah.
of reason,
Don't even remember.
Brian Wilskin.
Brian Wilskin.
All right. Well, I'd like to thank our guest Matt for joining us tonight.
Thank you, Matt.
Hey, man.
And I'd like to thank Aaron for getting dressed today. And
I would like to thank him too for that.
No promises for tomorrow.
That's alright. I'm not gonna be here all that much. I'm fucked for class.
All right.
all right. All right. Until next time, I'm AC Darkly, and we'll catch you on the Fringe of Society.
Bye.